2021, Africa was home to about 95% of all malaria cases and 96% of deaths. Children under 5 years of age accounted for about 80% of all malaria deaths in the region. 4 African countries accounted for just over half of all malaria deaths worldwide, Nigeria being the highest, 31%. The Democratic Republic of Congo, 12.6%, and United Republic of Tanzania, 4%, and Niger, 3.9%. So you can imagine, out of 4 countries, Nigeria has the highest, 31.3%. What of the disease burden in Nigeria? Malaria is transmitted throughout Nigeria, with 96% of the population at risk of malaria. The duration of the transmission season ranges from year-round transmission in the south to 3 months or less in the north. According to the 2021 World Malaria Report, Nigeria had the highest number of global malaria cases, 27%, and the highest number of deaths, like I mentioned, 31.something%. The country accounted for an estimated 55.2% of malaria cases in West Africa. So the prevalence is about 55% among the 15 countries in West Africa. Case numbers increased 5.3 between 2017 and 2020, from 298 to 3 of depletion. The death increased showed that the prevalence of malaria parasitemia in children under 5 years of age was 23%, although there are significant regional, rural, urban, and socio-economic differences. Prevalence ranges from 16% in the south and southeast zones to 34% in the northwest. In rural populations, prevalence is 2.4 times more than the urban population. Compared to the highest socio-economic group, prevalence among children in the lowest socio-economic group is 7 times higher, 38% versus 6% in the affluent population, 38% in the underprivileged poor neighborhoods compared to 6% among the affluent or educated. Why am I going through this background? Because of what we are here to discuss this morning, which is malaria vaccine and regulatory approval process by NAFDAC. NAFDAC, in exercising its mandate, is stipulated by its enabling law, Cap N1 2004, to grant registration approval, and is granting registration approval for R21 malaria vaccine, recombinant adjuvanted, that was manufactured by Serum Institute of India, and the market authorization holder in Nigeria is Fitsin Healthcare Limited. The R21 malaria vaccine is an adjuvanted protein vaccine presented as a sterile solution. A dose, which is 0.5 ml or 60, is composed of R21 malaria antigen 5 micrograms and the matrix M1 50 micrograms, as an adjuvant filled in a vial that is ready to use for intramuscular injection. The vaccine is indicated for prevention of clinical malaria in children from 5 months to 36 months of age. That was why I was underscoring the prevalence among children. The vaccine is indicated for prevention of clinical malaria in children from 5 months to 36 months. The storage temperature of the vaccine is 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. NAFDAC has several pathways for registration of vaccines. These pathways are in line with the agency's guideline for registration of imported drugs, vaccines, and medical devices under collaborative registration procedure, or the agency's guideline for registration of imported drugs and vaccines. The R21 malaria vaccine was reviewed using the latter pathway, meaning full registration, or full review, not expedited. The R21 malaria vaccine was reviewed using the full review pathway of NAFDAC. What does it entail in terms of the review of the application? Of course, the application comes with the dossier. For the dossier review, NAFDAC received that dossier of the R21 malaria manufactured by Serum Institute, and the dossier was subjected to independent review at 2 levels. The first time that this will happen in Nigeria, in NAFDAC, it was subjected to independent review at 2 levels. As a mature regulatory agency, it is expected as part of global benchmarking that external advisory committee is in place to advise upon invitation on certain functions of the agency. As a new biological molecule that is being given consideration for full registration, the independent review by an external body becomes imperative as a means to further safeguard public health. The external advisory body, which is called NAFDAC's Vaccine Advisory Committee, NEVAC, is made up of 4 highly recognized, well-published experts from Nigeria's tertiary institutions, namely Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Awka and in Anambra State, University of Lagos, Lagos State, University of Ibadan, Oyo State, and Osman Dan Fodio University, Sokoto, in Sokoto State. This external advisory body spent 5 whole days in a retreat to pore over the dossier and to rigorously review it, independent of the in-house NAFDAC's vaccine committee, independent of the NAFDAC vaccine review committee. Our review committee, meaning NAFDAC's review committee, is a multidisciplinary group extracted from the following NAFDAC directorates: Drug Registration and Regulatory Affairs, Vaccines, Biologics, Medical Devices, Drug Evaluation and Research for Clinical Trial and Good Manufacturing Practices Inputs, Pharmacovigilance, Post-Marketing Surveillance, Central Drug Laboratory, and Port Inspection. So you have about 6 directorates with varied disciplines that were involved in the in-house review of this vaccine. Essentially, the dossier was reviewed by NAFDAC, like I mentioned, independently, using standards of WHO across the relevant domains, in addition to the International Council on Harmonization Guidelines, or ICH guidelines, European Medicine Agency guidelines where appropriate, scientific rigor on the vaccine and context of malaria generally and specifically to Nigeria, and also that included best research and manufacturing governance. NAFDAC members reviewed all sections independently, like I mentioned, using best review practices, and met physically in plenary to assess and debate the reviews by sections, raised queries, and made recommendations accordingly. Overall, the assessment by NAFDAC was scored as adequate, that is, fully compliant with standards, and the report was submitted to me for further deliberation. The review of the NAFDAC's committee has always been guided by the same international standards and best practices, with the same modality of independent review by members, followed by long hours of plenary, where rigorous assessment of each reviewer took place. The committee also independently scored the assessment as satisfactory and forwarded the report to me. Upon submission of the independent reviews of both committees, the Joint Review Committee met with a call from me, and this meeting took place last week, Friday, April 14. The joint review process provided the opportunity for harmonizing the assessments. The outcomes of the reviews were discussed, and the recommendations and queries clarifications were consolidated to be referred to the manufacturers. And indeed, NAFDAC has sent that recommendation, queries, clarifications to the manufacturers. Overall, the R21 malaria vaccine dossier complied substantially with best international standards, with which the dossier was benchmarked, as mentioned above. The Joint Review Committee concluded that the data on the robust criteria for efficacy, safety, and quality. It was also adjudged that the vaccine's known potential benefits outweigh the risks, thereby supporting the manufacturer's recommended use. Specific instances where queries, clarification, or additional data were required have been duly compiled and sent, like I mentioned. These queries, clarification did not affect the overall adequacy of the dossier. The Joint Review Committee recognized the importance of an effective malaria vaccine that has 75% protection as an additional interventional tool, as a critical need in Nigeria that has the highest malaria burden. I repeat, the Joint Committee recognized the importance of effective malaria vaccine. This R21 vaccine has 75% protection. The committee also recommended additional phase 4 clinical trial pharmacovigilance study in country in Nigeria, given the peculiarity and the heterogeneous nature of malaria in Nigeria. That has also been communicated to the manufacturer and the market authorization holder. The committee was now interested in reviewing data of the human malaria parasite dynamics of the 25% that were not covered to understand issues bordering on non-protection that could inform further research. This has created potential research collaboration opportunity between NAFDAC and the affiliated respective universities of the NEVA members. Recommendations. A provisional approval of the R21 malaria vaccine was recommended, and this shall be done in line with the WHO malaria vaccine implementation guideline. This R21 malaria vaccine was granted a provisional approval. While granting the approval, the agency has also communicated the need for the expansion of the clinical trial to include phase 4 clinical trial and pharmacovigilance study. I mentioned that already. The brief on the approval of the R21 malaria vaccine has been communicated to the Honorable Minister of Health and National Primary Health Care Development Agency for appropriate action toward immunization in the respective population at the right time. NAFDAC remains committed in ensuring that only products that are safe, that are of high quality and efficacious are made available for Nigerians. Thank you so much and God bless.